Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on us authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Festival of Storytellers today. And my name is Nikki Collins Geigert, and I am the moderator for Terrie Stadler. And there's Terrie. So, hello. Hello. So again, I don't know whether everyone got us, but I will start over again. Welcome everyone to the Festival of Storytellers. I'm Nikki Collins Geigert, and I'm the moderator today for Terrie Stadler. And Terrie is our author, and her book is called Who's Knocking at My Door? And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself, not much, but I have written 7 books, and I'm going to show you 3 of them. The first one is called Who's Yawning Now? You can purchase it at Barnes & Noble or on my book website, Nikki Geigert Books, or through Reader's Magnet. The second one is A Girl's Greek Odyssey. This is a story about a teenager's first international trip to Greece, and as an athlete, all of the things that she did. Excuse me. The third book is called A Family Trip to Magical Madagascar and Beyond, and it's about our family's trip to Madagascar and all the things that we saw and did. And just a little bit about our author, Terrie Stadler. She is retired from her profession as an electrical drafter after 36 years in the electronics sector. She spends her time researching all of the various treatments and therapies available to aid patients with terminal conditions. And she says it's been a 10-year journey that's been both demanding and exasperating, but she's persevered through the most trying of times. So Terrie, would you tell us a bit about all of these things? What terminal conditions are we talking about, and what exactly have you done in those 10 years?
Well, in those 10 years, it's not exactly terminal conditions, but conditions that follow you through your life that you can't get rid of, like people with Crohn's disease or diabetes or rheumatoid arthritis. Then you have cancer. And I found that in times like even in the 1940s, there were cures for these conditions, but they've never been permitted to be used. So I found that exasperating. So, I tried different alternative methods. Most of them, they seem good, like getting into a hyperbaric chamber, but they don't seem to really last that long. And if you take the medications out there, you're going to be paying an extreme amount of money. You may not be insured. You may have to look for the money through a foundation and then take the medications, which have very high side effects. So I did come across on Gaiam TV, I did come across a Dr. Apareo in India, and he's treating all the conditions that have inflammation, which is pretty much all of the diseases. And he's done very well curing meningitis, and he's been doing this for 30 years. He wanted to set up clinics here, but they wouldn't allow that. So maybe a trip to India is what's needed.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move on to this very special, cute little book that you wrote. And I understand that your daughter illustrated for you. So tell us what genre is this book? Who's the book written for? And tell us about your daughter and some of the pages in this book that she illustrated.
Okay, this is written mainly for children, say like 2 years old to 12 years old, although you can read the book to them if they, are too young to read.
Right.
And I had good results of children really liking the book, so that pleases me. And then, of course, I have had it illustrated by my daughter, Kimberly Henderson, and she is not a professional artist, but I think she did an excellent job. So I'm going to show you a few of the pages that she drew. Okay, this one is of the ibis bird, which is very common here in Florida, which is where I am.
There you go, right there. Whoop, move it over. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they go around in groups like that, especially after you mow grass or something. They will go to those areas and look for food.
Pick up all those insects.
Yeah, so that's about what their diet would be, I'm pretty sure. And I'm just going to flip through here a few more pages to get an idea of, yes, here's a couple of them, one on each side.
Okay, now that is that a bird there somewhere?
This is the turtle in the swampy area. This is
that's the turtle's flipper.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And then as we move over, I have to go the other way. Okay,
There's
then we see him in the water, actually swimming with fish.
Now, are there different kinds of turtles in this pond?
There are, but this is the main one I see. This one is he's the most common one I've seen there. He's they stay in the water pretty much all the time. They don't come out that much, but this one he did. And and here's it's a heron, but we called him Storky Bird.
Oh, that's a lovely illustration.
Yeah, and when the ponds get low, because we have dry seasons, those birds have really easy pickings because the water's shallow and they'll just go over there and pick out whatever they want.
And tell us your daughter's name again.
Her name is Kimberly Henderson.
Okay, so if anyone needs an illustrator,
Yep.
there you go.
I did a pretty good job, so I wanted to give her the chance to illustrate it because,
Right.
that would give her a chance to get
Right.
started. So I was really happy with it. We kind of sat around when I was writing the book, and we would try to come up with ideas of what kind of animals we would show, that live around the area.
Uh-huh.
And then we could draw the pictures and put them in the book where we felt that they would go.
Right. Okay, so tell me, or maybe I should say tell us, why did you write this book? What was the causation?
Okay. I wrote it because many years ago, probably in the 1980s, I took a course for children's writing, but then I started my career and I never really had any time to devote to actually trying to have it published or sent out, short stories, which is what they focus on the most in the correspondence course. So I'd always thought maybe I could write a book someday. And I was inspired because here was an event that I had never had such an experience with a turtle, taking the time to walk up this pretty big hill for him to get to the door of our house. I was staying with my daughter when I first moved to Florida, not to Florida, but to Fort Myers. And here he was knocking on the door. He was pretty loud. I mean, you could hear him very well. So I was very inspired by that event, and I thought, well, this is my opportunity. I'll write about that and then the different animals and try to introduce these different animals to my audience, to my readers, and then they could learn more about other life out there that would interest them. And then they could see how these animals are actually friendly and really do want to communicate with us, some of them. And that's the opportunity that we had been given. So that's why I wrote it for the kids. I had
So was this turtle a tortoise or a water turtle that came to the door?
He's a water turtle, and for some reason the name escapes me. But they live in marshy areas and in water and in bigger ponds. And I described pretty well here. He's rather pancake round shape to him. And he has a kind of a snout on his nose that comes out. There's a snout. And he's, I want to say, he's fast. This turtle does not go slow like you see. He doesn't. He goes very fast. He could probably be in the race. They're a soft-shelled turtle, and they have very long necks. I'm not sure what their diet is, but what happened when we first realized we had all this life in the pond is we went to a feed store and we picked up feed for fish, basically, and we would throw it out there. And all the animals were interested in it. It didn't matter whether it was a fish, a turtle, or whatever. They were all eating the food. And so when he came to the door, I could only imagine what did he want?
He wanted a fish.
That's right.
He wanted a fish. So this is a Florida soft-shell turtle with a long neck and a snout. Okay, so now we know what kind of a turtle we're dealing with. And that's very interesting that he would realize who was putting the fish out there and come knocking on your door.
Exactly. He had his fat little foot up there and he's just clonking away on that door. It really made a loud sound. When I heard it, I thought, well, what is that? And my daughter, we were both like at computers or watching TV or something of that nature. And so she goes to the door And she goes, "Oh, you have to see this." So I go over there and we open up the door and he just looks up at us and turns around and runs back down
No.
to the pond. He didn't wait for a morsel of food or anything like that. He's got his message through and communicated, and I guess he was finished. He didn't have any more to do with the door, but I felt like
Oh,
this was a message. This is something that happened for a reason. So I
yeah,
wanted to share. Let's keep
yeah.
that.
So, how long did it take you to write this book, and what impact did it have on you in the process?
Well, in the process, I kept wondering what to write, and then the thoughts come, and then you write it, and I felt like this was really going to be a good experience for me and for the family because they were taking part. My daughter was taking part, and I, sending when the book finally was published, I sent it to my son because he's ready to have a family at that time.
Wow.
That's going back a while, and let me think, 2000. No, that he already had his children then, but they were pretty young. So,
Perfect age for a children's book.
right. And he, as a child, he liked animals. He cared for all animals. He had a gopher turtle somewhere in the yard, and he knew all about them. He had gone down to the Keys and even stayed there for 2 or 3 days as they taught them. They had a camp there where they taught them all about the life, in the salt water there. So he's had a lot of instruction about it. He enjoys that. And as a matter of fact, somebody gave him a small stuffed turtle when he was a boy. And that turtle went everywhere he went. If he went on a trip, the turtle went with it, even though it was stuffed. And actually, I think he still may have it to this day.
Is that right?
Yeah. And he's, on his 40s now. So, that says a lot about how it stays with the kids, how they learn how to communicate with animals, how to respect them, and get enjoyment and give enjoyment. And this was my focus. And even though he was in another state by then, he didn't live in Florida. When he graduated college, he went off to another job way far away.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you titled the book, Who's Knocking at My Door? Did you consider any other titles?
I really
And how did you end up with this particular title?
when I started writing, it just came to me. I knew that had to be the title because it was very fit. We didn't know what was happening at the door. We didn't know, what kind of sound it was. I mean, what, originated that sound. So I don't know. It just came to me and I thought that's got to be the title and that's what I'm going to go with, because it seemed very fitting.
Yeah. And it creates mystery. It starts with who. And so it creates kind of a, okay, so reader, open up the book and figure out who the who is.
Yeah. Which you don't expect. I was interviewed by Kate Delaney, and she told me that she had a turtle come to her door one time. So that's only the second time I've heard of that. Although there's many, many people, it could have happened to other people. But I think she was telling me that there was flooding in her area, and that could have been the reason that up there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's not really an incident.
Yeah. So once a reader finishes reading the book, for example, your grandchildren or anything like that, what's the feeling or emotion that you hope comes across to or for the reader?
Well, for one thing, I hope it makes them happy, because the one little girl, my niece, she was laughing. She was not even in school yet, but she was laughing about it. And she wanted to know if she could have the book. And unfortunately, I only had one. So this time around, even though she's older, I'm going to send her a copy because I couldn't do it before. I'm going to do it now, this opportunity. So another thing is I want the children to come away realizing that opportunities will come their way eventually, and not to turn your back to it, but to embrace it and see what you can learn, especially with animals, and how to communicate and how they communicate, and probably how they communicate with each other. So it's a good learning experience, and one that they'll remember probably for a very long time. So, and I think, I'm hoping they're enlightened with that information, and that they, get some kind of satisfaction of knowing that even though you may feel alone, you're not if there's an animal around. Even, even birds or butterflies that visit, try to come in or try to, pay attention to you. So, yeah, I think that's something common, maybe more common than we know. We just open our eyes and, take the time, because like I say, there's a reason. Just try to figure it out.
Yeah. So you indicated there's kind of a time gap from when you first started the book, start to finish. How long was that process?
I would say probably maybe 4 or 5 months, because it's not a big book. But, I went over it many times, how you will do when you're writing, and checking the words. Is that the right word to use? And make sure the spelling is correct. And I mean, there's all
But
kinds of.
before that, from the start of the idea, when the turtle first knocked on your door to the completion of the book, what time frame was that?
I would say maybe around 8 months. It was less than a year, because
Was it?
I was working on it probably almost every day, and then with my daughter working together, trying to figure out what kind of pictures do we want, how many pictures do we want, how many can we fit, where will we situate this picture, and I think it worked out pretty well that we have a little bit of everything: the fish, the birds.
Do you want to show some more? Do you want to show some more of the illustrations, because some of our readers enjoy those illustrations?
Okay, I'm going to show you. We had blue tilapia in there. I'm hoping that's what shows up here.
The other side. Oh, there we go. Oh, wow. How cute is that?
Yeah, she drew that one. That's the tilapia, because there were plenty of them in the pond. And then on the other side here, we have little minnows that would go around, and visit the plants, because that's where they're safe.
Yeah.
And we would send out, the food, and they would all be flopping around and all excited because they knew there was food being thrown in the pond. So, it was a joy, really. And that's another thing you can teach the children, although maybe they don't have access, but they can, try to feed these animals, and who really appreciate it. So this soft shell, I got this side of it right.
Higher.
Water.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Up. Yeah, right there. Stop. Okay. So that's your turtle.
Yeah. He's at the surface there. And, you don't even know how many are in the pond. I mean, there were quite a few. And the other thing is, I got to see this. This is a picture of his face. Got to go this way.
Right there. Yeah.
Oh, see, his head is got that snout on it, and
interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. So
how fun. How fun.
Yeah, that was
so
fun.
So how did you, for you, what what was the writing process like? Did you take notes? Did you just observe? Um, you know, what kind of a
Yeah.
process was it?
Well, I did a lot of observations and, you know, notes as well as typing. Of course,
Mhm.
we computer, and I would type and then look at notes and then maybe go outside, walk around the pond, see what else I could write about, because basically that's where most of that life was. And that bird, we called him Storky Bird. He was some kind of heron. And I studied about them. I guess they're all over the United States. I was thinking maybe it was just a tropical bird, but really it wasn't just a tropical bird. I guess they're commonplace in many places. And I'm just thrilled to see one, because they're not in the cities. I don't see them in really populated areas, but to me it was pretty thrilling to see that. And I would just write about those type of things, and we would try to be aware of what their coloring was and what their how they responded to things and so forth, and that would um, prompt me to write more about these.
Mhm.
But that intention was to show children factual information about these other creatures that are in your yard.
Mhm.
It's not like you're going to have wild pigs coming in or something, which Florida does
That
have,
happens. That
it
does
does,
happen.
right. And we also have the bear, the black bear. And
Oh, really?
yeah, my grandson was at a restaurant for his birthday and they couldn't leave because there was a big black bear outside of the restaurant going through the dumpster thing,
Trash.
the trash. And so they didn't feel safe to go out there until he left, or maybe they called somebody from wildlife. I don't know, but that happened. So, yeah, they're maybe more common than we expect them to be. And that
Yeah.
was an area where there was, stores and restaurants and so forth. It wasn't in the city, but it certainly had some population around that area. And
Mhm.
so then what else do we have? We have the panther, and I did see a video on YouTube with somebody walking through one of the boardwalks in one of our parks, and the panther just came running through. Luckily, it didn't pause or anything. It just meandered right on through the boardwalk, and
Mm.
of course, that's maybe not something you want to encounter, but it's you can be aware that something like that could happen if you're out there. So
Yeah. We
yeah.
have, on my ranch, we have mountain lions that meander through.
Oh,
So, yeah, I know that sense of heightened awareness, so to
mhm.
speak. So
Right.
if you're just joining us today, welcome audience, and we have a chat line if you have any questions that you would like to ask Terrie Stadler, our author of the hour. Please jot them down, and I will relay all of those questions to her. Again, our author of the hour is Terrie Stadler. Her book is Who's Knocking at My Door? My name is Nikki Geigert, and I'm the moderator. And if you're just joining us, welcome. We're just working our way through some questions, and hope that you are enjoying the conversation thus far. So my next question to Miss Terrie is, um, what exactly, depending upon the age, let's say for 2 to 4 year olds, what would be the takeaway that you want for 2 to 4 year olds? versus maybe 5 to 8-year-olds versus 9 to 12-year-olds? What would be,
Okay.
the takeaways for each of those different age groups?
Well, for the really young children, I'd like them to get a kick out of it. They would laugh, like my little niece did. She just thought that was so funny. She just carried on for a while laughing. A turtle? A turtle? She couldn't get over that. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was one response that I got. And okay, there's not a whole lot more response that I saw that, in that, but from someone older, say 5 or 4 to 5, 6, they would get out of that story not only something funny, but they would feel that they're learning something about these animals. Maybe they could have an experience like that. Maybe they could find a turtle, or turtles seem to be kind of popular with children, I'm noticing. And so maybe they could find a bird or something. I know at one time I had to go out and buy a myna bird for my son because he really wanted a myna bird. We had one. We found one actually that came to our house, and we didn't know where he came from, but he talked quite a bit. So that's a bird that's very good at articulating, and speaking to you. And he liked that. And he was at that time 15, but he wanted one so that he could work with it. And so that would inspire younger children to maybe want those kind of animals, and maybe even, like I said, try to communicate with them. If they have a trip to the zoo or something, they might take more interest and, try to study, what are they eating, and what do they like? What kind of communication are they trying to, do for us, or are they trying to, and how about with each other? Most of the time it seems like they're eating, but or resting, sleeping. A lot of them sleep a lot. And then I would say for the older group, such as my son, they would take away the fact that there's quite a few animals. Maybe they need to add to the list. Maybe in their area they have totally different animals, and they can find friendship and be able to communicate with them back and forth, whether, and they can't talk, so they have to do it in another way. Maybe it's the way they look at you. That's also interesting too, that they might, I find that interesting, that they would stare at you, or, keep their eyes on you, and maybe get a response. And this would be a communication response, but one that, maybe it's unique, maybe it isn't. I mean, people who maybe live on a farm, they probably are communicating all the time, and with, more domestic type animals. So they might be, more at home with that thought and be more comfortable. And anyway, my daughter, where I was staying there in the rural area of Fort Myers, which is called Buckingham, that's the name of the community. She had 2 big dogs, 2 Rottweilers. And sometimes what we would do is go back on the back patio, and there was also a deck out there, a wooden deck attached. And she had a telescope, and we would try to focus it in on the moon or on the planets out there, which is not easy if you haven't done that before. You think you're focusing it and you can't even see it in there. So, but it was dark, and I was out on the decking, and they had, for some reason at this house, they had built a step up. A part of the deck was higher than the rest of it, and maybe 4 inches higher. And they put up there, barbecues and stuff like that up there. But I would go up there, and it was dark, and I was having a problem because I'm not really looking down, and I would be like taking a long step forward because I missed, that step. Luckily I didn't fall at that time. I just, kind of jumped over it. and it was not really safe, but I was trying to be aware of that. And so I was walking around and on the patio part, and then the next thing I knew, my feet met up with the edge of that wooden patio, and I just like fell right over, like on top
Flat.
of the, yeah, fell flat, right on top of that decking. And my daughter jumped up to get me. But the next thing I know, here were these jaws, these teeth around my arm. The big Rottweiler, the male, he had come, he was trying to pick me up. He was going to try to help me to stand up. So that just shows you he could see pretty well in the dark, better than I could. And he was going to help me. And these are what, these friends can do for us, and we, of course,
Mhm.
know that dogs
Mhm.
protect people as well, depending on the dog. And I think they all kind of got their bark out there trying to, keep everything in line. So
Yeah.
that was an experience for me, and I've never forgotten it. So again, too, you're having an experience that will stay with you for years and years, stories you can tell. And that's what happened to me, and that with that particular incident. And
Huh.
so, I don't know of some other experiences people may have had, but
Right. Right. So, in regard to your book, are you aware of any other turtle books for children? And if so, how does your book stand out from other turtle books?
to be honest with you, I don't think I've seen any other turtle books. I'm sure they are out there, but I just haven't really looked for them. But
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that here, when we're doing this show, the Festival of Storytellers, I didn't really see any children's books that had turtles featured, but there are some good books out there that I noticed from other
Mm-hmm.
authors, that are interesting to me. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to, so maybe that would be a good thing to check out other topics. I know there was one interested me. Somebody wrote a book about God and how God feels how you talk to him, what you do in your life that might actually be make him sad, things like that, which I've never thought about. But I thought that was really interesting for somebody to write about. That should be on here somewhere in our group.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you, from your perspective, is your book um, advocating for a specific cause or agenda?
I think,
And what would that be?
and that would be to make people, well, children, aware that these animals are out there and that they need our care sometimes, and that we want to be kind and consider their feelings in whatever we're doing. And this would be a good thing, I think. And then that child will grow up with a respect for the animals and feelings about the animals that are leading to something good and kind, bringing in kindness and being happy. They can make you happy, and
Mhm.
especially children. But that's my message: to be kind to the animals, to be aware that they have needs that maybe usually they take care of themselves, but maybe there's a time when we can help, and they may actually come to us and ask us in their own little way, and we can respond in our way and
Mhm.
try to keep that going. So,
Right.
that's what I would advocate. So,
Mhm.
right. And they can brighten your day. I mean, let's face it, you have an incident like that, and it can just make your whole day happy after that.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
feel good and, be sharing that information with
Yeah.
whoever else.
And and some people have service animals too.
Right.
Um, that they need assistance either for um, physical needs or emotional needs or whatever. So, yeah.
And I've heard that some of these service animals can actually tell if a person is in stress, say like maybe having an attack or something, that they can sense.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
that's very interesting. And we could be mindful of that. I mean, I see, you see them and think about them mainly with the blind, but they do even much more than that. So,
Mm-hmm.
like you
Mm-hmm.
said, companionship, I've seen where they've brought animals into hospitals for children, even
Mm-hmm.
an animal like a pony or something, which would be amazing to the child, I'm sure. And
Yeah.
right, so, and it helps, I think, that person to feel some kind of gratitude and love for the animals and appreciation that they're lucky that they get to have this animal, or they get to see or communicate or have fun with the animal, and that never gets old.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and
Right.
I'm even hearing that it's helping adults too, not just
Mm-hmm.
children in hospitals, but adults who might be very compromised, physically, and that the animals are are very friendly toward them and loving toward them. Like a horse that'll come up to the maybe they're in a fence and they'll come up to you, and you can rub their nose and all this stuff, and it's a nice feeling, and the horse seems to enjoy it. So
They're
just,
probably looking for an apple or a carrot, though.
yeah, that's true. Or even a sugar cube. They do like all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So that being said, Terrie, again, we're on Festival of Storytellers, and Terrie is our author of the hour. Her book was Who's Knocking on My Door? It's a story about a water turtle, of all things, that made its way from the pond up over the hill and crossed her front porch area and was knocking its flipper on her door. And so this cute little story tells you all about that and all of the other little creatures that are in the pond. And maybe we might surmise that the reason the turtle came was because at some point in time the turtle was fed fish and other things, so which created an interaction there. So we want to invite you to purchase the book. Um, and Christmas is coming up. So, and that's one of the things that I get for my nephews, nieces, grandchildren, great grandchildren. I don't look that old, but whatever. But anyway, and then the again, some of my books. Who's Yawning Now? If you want to consider that, it's a story about. I'm a photographer first, and it's about all of these animals that I have photographed yawning. So, and for you, Terrie, what's your next book going to be about?
well, I haven't. I don't know if I'm up to that right now, but I had told one of the Reader's Magnet people there that I did write my own little story because it was a letter, and this is going back to the 70s, and I sent it off to our family up in Ohio because we had gone to a few miles north of us to a place where we were going to we had a boat. My brother-in-law had a boat, and that's what he loves to do with his spare time. And we were going to go out on the ocean, fish and do all this. Well, when we got there, there was a boat parade, a boat show going on, and there were boat races, and we couldn't do what we really wanted to. But so many funny things happened, during that time. And I would just have to find the story to even remember some of the experiences I had there. But we actually ended up having to be towed in by the Coast Guard. So it was everything. It was very comical, extremely comical, everything that we encountered. So that might be something I would think about writing about, because it was very Florida focused.
Uh-huh.
And, I thought he would really knew a lot, but I don't think he knew as much as he thought he did, about the boating. So,
Uh-huh.
to go there and have this big crowd, we had to get out of our boat and push it, through, because there was just boats everywhere. And then, much to our excitement, demise,
Chagrin?
yeah, that's the word. And there was a bed of oysters that we had to walk over. And those things are sharp.
Oh.
Yeah. So we ended up with rashy clothes and sore feet, and couldn't get to do everything we wanted to, couldn't keep the boat running. And it was just something. And like my husband, my brother-in-law thought, well, you guys could, put one of those sleeping bags on the beach and sleep out there. Well, guess what? At nighttime, here come all these hermit crabs.
Uh-huh.
But you do not want to be there on the
Yeah.
shore sharing things with them, because, they got their little claws going. They're small, but there was quite a few of them. So we didn't do that. And when we did finally.
Terrie, we have a question from Liz. She says, just out of curiosity, from the title of the book itself, who's knocking at my door? Do you still welcome any other unexpected visitors?
Yeah, I would. As long as they're not, I'd have to be aware of the humankind, but I would welcome the other kind.
Maybe that's another possibility for another book title.
Right. I thought I was going to have one when a mule showed up in the yard one day. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, we had to call the sheriff. They actually have a division devoted to this. They have trailers they bring out. And when they say stubborn as a mule, there's a big meaning behind it, because that mule wasn't going to do anything. He wasn't getting in the trailer. He wasn't interested in the carrots. He just wanted to mope around back in the backyard, and he wasn't having it. And but that's about all there was to it. He kept fighting with it, that officer did, until he, somehow managed to get him on the trailer so he could take him home wherever he was from. I don't know, somewhere in the country there. So, another unexpected visitor. But that's what happens when you're out in the.
So let me ask you this. Did the turtle, how many times did the turtle knock on your door?
I think it was, just thinking back, I think it was maybe 4 times by the time we got up. He stayed there until we answered that door, until we
and then he scurry off.
And then he turned around in a whip, and then he was just off and running. Which they do very fast. I'm telling you, they are very fast, soft shell. So, not like other turtles, like the gopher. My son had a gopher pet for a while, and they like to eat apples and lettuce and stuff like that. My son would feed him. So then he disappeared. Somebody took him, but things like that do happen. So,
yeah.
Right. And that was his experience.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay. So we're almost to the end, Terrie. So is there anything more about this book you'd like to add? Where are you selling it? And what's the purchase price and all of those things? Tell us about that.
Okay, we have through Reader's Magnet, of course, the book is offered, and through my website, www.terriesbook.com, and I have it in hardback, I have it in paperback, and I actually have an audio version, and probably the ebooks, and you can get that on Amazon, which I think it's not up yet there because we did just finish production yesterday, I think it was. And
Mhm.
so
And what's the price? What's the
the
price?
price of hardcover is like 20, I want to say, I don't have it at the top of my head. It's around $25. Round
Mhm.
it might be $24.95. And then the paperback is much less. It's $6 and something. I don't have the actual, I should know this. I apologize. And the audiobook, I don't know if that's ready to go online now or not, but also, I think it's available at Barnes and Noble or one of those outlets. And it should be available probably now. Today, I ordered some myself, and that way I can sign them and then send them, back to people who want that. So,
Yeah, that's a good option.
right. So, and that would be any of the books, which of course there's two versions there, the paperback and the hardcover. So I'm looking forward to seeing this hardcover because mine was only available in this paperback, my first edition there. And so that one, it kind of just stayed in the background for a long time. And then one day I got a call back, I think it was in March or April, from one of the people who work at Reader's Magnet, and they asked me if I would be interested in, they wanted to republish the book. And that's how all this got started, with the new version. And it's really not a new version. It only has a new cover. So that's the only difference. So anyway, that's what's available. And like I say, I'm not sure about another book yet. It's pretty exasperating sometimes. Just trying to get through the days, and maybe someday I'll take a trip to India. Don't know what's going on there, but I've heard it's very populated, but I've also heard that it's very beautiful in some places. So never been there. Maybe you have.
I have.
Oh, and what is it like?
I call India the most fascinating, filthiest place on the planet.
Okay. I've heard that too. I've heard that it can be that way or it can be nice depending on where you are. So don't know.
Well, it's always beautiful, but it's always filthy because of all of the roaming cows and cow manure and
yeah, that would be a problem.
and trash. They don't have trash cans. They just throw their trash on the ground and walk away.
Yeah, that would be hard for us to contend with, and I guess finally realize that's the way it is.
Yep.
Probably the way it is there. And
Yep.
I think maybe there will be other cures that will come out. I'm hearing that we're supposed to have a lot of cures released, and I hope that's true. So a lot of people could use curing and not just medicating. I just feel like
Yeah. Okay. So again, we've been, my name is Nikki Geiger. This is Terrie Stadler, and she is the author of the hour, and I'm her moderator. We've been talking to her for almost an hour now. So unless I don't see anyone else on our chat line that has any questions. So I don't have anything more unless Terrie has anything more. I think that we are done. And audience, we want to thank you very much for joining us today. And we want you to join us. Take a look at the other authors behind the scenes for the Festival of Storytellers. And thank you, Reader's Magnet, for allowing us to have an author of the hour, to have all these authors share their books and talk about them. And thank you, staff, for organizing all of this. I know it's been an awful lot of work to do this. And thank you, audience, for checking in with us. And yeah, feel free to just kind of browse through to all of the different booths behind the scenes. And again, thank you for joining us today. And I'm signing off. And Terrie, any last words?
Yeah, I'm very grateful that you've all shown up and spent your time watching our presentation here and learning all the various things about animals and what you can do to help. And again, check out the other authors' booth, because there's some very interesting, diverse topics that you can look into. And again, I'm very grateful. And I hope that we'll see you again someday. And
Okay.
thanks, Magnet, as well. All right.
Thank you. And everyone take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.